All right, so today we've talked about playing chord progression songs in the key of C major, where C is the tonal center. But if we think about Western music theory, in Western music theory, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we're back. So there's 12 notes that divide the octave, and basically in Western music theory we have 12 notes. So that means there's 12 different major scales. That means if I start on any other note besides C, I'm going to have to worry about black keys. So I encourage you, when you're doing songs with the kids, especially if they're going to be playing an instrument, it depends on what instrument you play. Like if they're going to be playing piano and ukuleles, you probably want to be in C. But on guitar, it might be easier to do guitar in D. Let's think about if you were in D and guitar, you'd have D major would be the one chord. 1, 2, 3, that's the scale I just played. D major has 2 sharps. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, back to D. So 1, 2, 3, 4. D is the one chord. 4 is G, and then 5 is A. Those chords are easier to play on guitar. You might do 1, 4, 5 chord progressions on guitar in D. Those are easier chords to play. C and F are kind of slightly hard to play on guitar as chords go on guitar. So then I also want to show you guys, you can basically look up any song you want. I like using Ultimate Guitar even if I'm not playing with guitars. And playing on pianos, you can have a piano chord chart of just getting them knowing they're all the white key chords in C major, in the key of C, going up, you know. You do the Do a Deer song, go up C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major. G minor would sound like this. If you make a major chord minor, you're flattening a note. If you make a minor chord major, this is A minor, the 6th chord, you raise the 3rd note. So we have 1, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor. The 7th chord is always diminished back to 1. If we do a different key, if we go up and circle a 5th, if I go up a 5th from C, I got G major. G major has 1 sharp. 1, 2, F sharp. So now when I do the chords, I'm going to have to worry about that F sharp. G major, A minor is all white keys. I have A, C, E. But look, B, I don't want to play B diminished like we did before, all white keys. I got to get this F sharp. B minor, a 3 chord. C major is now my 4 chord. I'm in G. 1, 2, 3, 4. C major is my 4 chord. D major has the F sharp. It's my 5 chord, D major. E minor is the relative minor. The 6th chord is always called the relative minor. I'll talk about that in a second. Then we have F sharp diminished and back to G. So I haven't talked too much about minor. We were talking in C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like I said, the 6th is the relative minor. So that means if you start and end on A, you'll get the relative minor. We know that C major is all white keys, all natural, so watch. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to play all the same notes, but start on A instead of C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do. I have A minor. Or E minor would be the relative of G. G, if we're in G major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But G major has an F sharp, so look, I'm going to start on the 6th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to start an E down here and play the F sharp going up. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do. So if you're playing in pianos, C major and A minor, or G major and E minor, because they only have to worry about 1 sharp in that key, and depending on what song you're singing in the melody, it might be easier to play. So now I'm going to tell you how to look up a song and look up the chords and stuff. I mostly talk about singing songs in major, but hey, your 1 chord could be the minor chord, and that's kind of different. You can kind of contact me if you want to, or keep exploring yourself, because just there's so much to cover in music and music theory. So if you look up, I'm just going to use the song Count on Me by Bruno Mars. So I look up Count on Me, and then I just will type in the word chords. C-H-O-R-D-S. C-H-O-R-D-S. Chords. Like we're learning the chords. Every 3 notes makes a chord. Sometimes 4 notes makes a chord if you have a 7 chord. We've been looking at triad chords. eventually 1, 3, 5, eventually 7, a major 7 chord, or sometimes we have dominant chords. I messed that up. There's the turnaround, the 5 chord, 4 chord. But that's jazzier because I have the 7s on there. You should start with triads though. So I got Count on Me chords. The first thing that usually pops up is Ultimate Guitar. I like to use Ultimate Guitar because it's free. It's free, and basically you scroll down, so it'll give you the chords on guitar. If you want to do it on piano, you can look up a piano chord chart. But basically, Count on Me is already in C major, okay? But let's say it wasn't. Let's say the first, so generally speaking, the first chord that you see at the top is what key it's in. That's the tonal center. If it's a capital C, that means C, or if it's a capital any note, that means it's major. If it had C with a little M after it, or for example D with a little M, we know that the little M afterwards means minor. So that's going to be a little different and sound different. I'm mostly talking about singing in major because most kids' songs are in major. Basically, let's say it wasn't in C and C wasn't the 1 chord. You can transpose it. See this little plus minus sign? So let's say it wasn't on C. Let's say the song is originally in D sharp major, that's the same as E flat major. And I was like, I want to make it C. So I just pushed the transpose button until the first chord changes to C natural. And then we can see, okay, if I learn all these chords in C major, I could sing and play Count on Me with the kids. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea. I have a chord chart for that one too.